Hey everyone, my last video I was toying around with this program to put my name in the side of my torch mount. Well, I gave up on the Action Man figure because they just never cleaned up right. I went to a larger size and it would probably have to be about a 2 or 3 inch size letter for that particular font to work with a 1/8 bit. Then I went to italic, which looks a lot better. So I started whittling way down to find out what size it was going to take in the program to get the actual size on the board. So it ended up being 0.625 equals 1 inch on the output end, so to speak. So this is what we went with here. It looked pretty nice, I thought. Shorten it up. I was kind of getting aggravated with the program, but that's the way it is. So here we have our torch mount. As you can see, it did a really nice job. Many layers of cuts, and there's no layers in the program. It's probably good for etching into something, not doing what I did with it, but it's almost 1/8 of an inch deep. It has a pretty neat profile for me, and I'll clean it up a little bit later, and that'll end up being mounted to the side of the carriage here on another block. Of course, the little router motor will be gone. And once we get this set up with the torch in it and get our torch height controller set up, we're going to tackle this idiot right here. Yeah, this is a disaster. So we got to do a bunch of figuring to see how we're going to change that carriage out. We know what we're going to do, but dimension wise we don't know anything yet because we haven't gotten that far. We've got a plate of aluminum. Let's see here. I got a piece of 1/2 inch stock that I'm going to use for making a bracket that's going to attach to the back side of here. It'll bolt to the Z carriage, and the V-groove wheels like these here will be mounted to this. And we also have to incorporate in our work. We have to make a motor mount to come off of this to tie back into our track. So essentially we're going to use this for the carriage, or some parts of it. It's not going to be that tall. It's just the stock that I had here. So I'm going to put a piece of 1/2 inch plate laminated laminated on the side of the gantry that's here now, and I'll mount the V-groove track on top of that and bottom of that 1/2 inch plate, and then the carriage will mount to that. Like I said, I have to make a mount for the motor that's going to be incorporated with this carriage. I want it all one piece, nice gussets on the top coming back up to support it. We've got our work cut out for us, as always. We're not scared, we're just a little slow because we're being cautious not to make mistakes. At this point in the game, they can put you out of service for a while, so I want to plan it and then work the plan, and that way when I tear it down, it'll be minimal time to get it back up and running, and there's going to be a whole world of difference. I'd love to do it on my long rails as well, but the track is expensive. The 1/2 inch coil plate that I'm going to use, probably 3 inches wide, possibly 4, I'm not sure yet, the width of what I'm going to be able to use. It's all going to be determined by the size of the carriage mount. Once that's determined, I'll know the width of this flat plate that's going to attach directly to the side of the gantry. So it's going to be an interesting build when I get to that point. I'll try to be a little better about making videos of some of the actual progress as I get going with it. So that's where we are. We're going to finish up the torch mount. We've got a small plate here that will mount directly to the torch mount, like so. And it'll attach to the face of the Z plate. So we're getting somewhere. This, like I said, was a lot of intricate little work that I've probably made a lot more of an issue about it than what it really is. Anybody that's got any milling experience could have probably done this in a few hours on a reel machine. I was quite limited. I couldn't plunge depth. I had to take very, very minimal cuts. So that was, I guess it was a good thing that I started to do this, because I found out the flaws early before I started running wide open with some plasma projects. So we're moving right along. Get this carriage built, get the water table in here, start having some sparks fly instead of sawdust and aluminum chips for now anyhow. I do like the milling. I'm sure I will keep this handy to use for different modifications on the table as I go. I think I will eventually be changing out these side rails as well. I would like to have a nice aluminum 80/20 extruded gantry and rails, but the pocket is poor. We tried to do most of this work ourselves. There's some of my milling I did actually. If you can see that little cutout in here. I did that little notch on my drill press actually with a 4-way vise, a little milling vise. And it worked out pretty good actually. I was happy with that. And I milled a small pocket out. I wonder why I got clothespins up there. Yeah, I knew you'd ask. Well, actually, when I was milling this, surfacing it, I clamped these clothespins in some of these cavities to take out some of the vibration, because I was working extremely late at night and it took out a little bit of the higher pitch. It was resonating from the stock itself. So, but anyways, the other little bit of milling that I did was to cut this little recess right here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but a little pocket to allow the limit switch to pass by, or I'm sorry, to allow the Z plate to pass by that. It only comes up, about 1/8 of an inch up past it, but the button all sticks down quite a bit. Then I milled a little bracket, a little haunch. As you can see, it's mounted on the sidewall down there. It's adjustable height to adjust the stop if it ever needed to be. Why I did it, I don't know. Didn't need to. It was just there at the time. Well, there we have it, ladies and gents. The next thing is going to be getting the torch fired up. Not sure exactly what I'm going to do on these plates for attachment on the gantry. I'm thinking about doing through holes and just bolting it on. And if I do that, I've got wires running through it. I would have to probably pull all those out to be on the safe side, and that's not a desired function. So another option that I was planning or thinking about was to just drill some holes about every 16 inches down the length of the stock, somewhere close to the center of it, and make them about 1/2 inch in diameter. Do those holes at the same time while I'm drilling and tapping for the rails to mount. The little V-groove rails that are here, it's the same thing as this that's right here. It sits on the edge of the material, and you just drill and tap a hole in it. So that's basically the game plan. We're just going to invert this principle and run it horizontally instead of vertical. And I thought about the same dimensions because it worked out so well. Because these were 2 stock plates that I bought. I think it was 5 inches and 7 inches wide in it, with the wheels being about 1.5 inches in diameter, and using 1.25 inch stock to make the stiff plate, basically, stiff back, strong back, whatever you want to call it on there. It gave me plenty of room to drill and mount that. Or drill and tap it is what I did for 1/4 20. Something else I've actually thought about doing, I've got all this wasted Z space up on the top, and I probably need about 8 inches overall to have a torch mount low and high for the permanent torch that will go on this table. This is all just from my Lincoln Pro Cut 55. That's the plasma cutter that I have now. I'm going to upgrade in the future to a little more modern machine. One size up from the one I have now would be plenty for me. The unit I have now will cut 1/2 inch quite well. It struggles with 3/4, but the piercing ability is not good. So pre-drilling holes for thicker materials is necessary if you're going to make cuts. Anything over, I would say probably 3/8 is about as much as that one I have now will pierce. It's a great machine. They're on the bottom of my little cart that I made a few years back. Uh, it's been a good unit. I have no complaints with it whatsoever. Hate to see it go. Would like to keep them both, but pretty much have to sell one to get the other. We saved up what we think is going to be the difference in cost between the two. So as soon as I advertise and turn this one loose, I just got to make sure that I've got everything made for the table I want made before I do let it go. Because it might be a few weeks before I get another one, and then it'll be back to my milling. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Subscribe to my channel for updates to new videos as they are posted. Trying to stay on top of things. Like I said, I've really enjoyed this. Anybody that's wanting to make a machine, I heard it said best in a video the other day, if you want to make one, just know that you can. You don't have to be super mechanically inclined or a super computer engineer or any of those things to get started with one of these. I'm living proof. So, hope you guys have a great evening. Good night.